Rooted in resilience, inspired by nature, powered by movement. The podcasts where healing meets empowerment. Let's rise and thrive together. And now, here are your hosts, Scott and Melissa.
All right, welcome to Rise and Thrive, the podcast with Melissa and Scott. And we're going to have a great topic today, following up from a previous episode. But before we do that, we're going to take a moment to pause and breathe and really come into the moment. So I will hand it over.
All right, so settle in as you see fit to find your best way to relax and sit straight in a dignified manner. Uncross your legs if they're crossed, feet flat on the floor if you're sitting.
Maybe.
Or cross them if you're in a yoga pose, as is my partner, Melissa, here. And today, I definitely want to focus on the breath. So let's take an inhale, nice cleansing breath in through the nose. Letting it go, open jaw. 2 more times, cleansing breath in. Let it go. Little more relaxation. Feel those shoulders drop on the exhale. 1 more inhale in. And let it go on the exhale. And just find your own peaceful rhythm of breathing. I'm going to step you through a guided meditation. Just briefly, a little mindfulness in the body. So put your focus on the bottom of your feet. Take a nice breath and feel the bottom of your feet. Now put the focus up your legs on your knees. Moving into the hips. Breathing into the hips. Up into the organ area, liver, kidneys. Breathing into the organs. Moving into the lungs, the chest, the heart area. Feel your heart open and expand on the inhale. And on the exhale, letting it go. Now a little focus on the throat area. And then breathing into the head space where we spend so much of our day. Cleaning out the cobwebs with the breath. And now the whole body. Whole body. And then 1 final inhale in. 1 last relaxing exhale. May you carry that throughout your day. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. If they're closed, come back into the space. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. That was very fitting.
I needed that.
I did too. So I appreciate the focus on feeling the organs, feeling the insides. So many of us live in this world and do these things, and we forget about all those inner organs doing.
It's always outside focused.
Right. We're doing hard work for us. And it's very fitting, like I said, for our topic today. We want to follow up. We had a beautiful guest speaker, Nadine, just recently, and the gluten-free RN, dear friend of mine for many, many years now, and a colleague. And we've worked together for clients as well with supports. And I'll share more about that as we continue of how that works. And she, as you can hear in her title, the gluten-free RN. And so some of you may already be gluten-free or becoming more aware of reducing some of those items and what that looks like and how to do that and
why.
And at the same time, when we talked about putting this follow-up podcast together after Nadine's, it was to just support that we're not doing some funky diet. We're not doing some now follow this, and now this is the thing to do and because it is so confusing out there. So what I wanted to foundationally begin with is exactly what Scott gave you a moment to focus on, was feeling your organs. To realize that there is an internal wisdom that knows what it needs, nourishment-wise, vitamin-wise, food-wise, whole food-wise, to thrive. And so when we get lost in should I have this, or I can't have that, or now what diet am I following? More and more, as you come down this path with us on this this journey,
You could be in our journal too.
you can journal about it. On this journey is to tap in more and more to that innate wisdom that will guide you on what's right for you. It doesn't mean that you're going to ignore those things. It's that you're going to learn to hear them and then put them through the filter of what's best for you and your body. And so what we wanted to talk about today is, if that inspired you to listen to Nadine, and if you haven't listened to it, don't worry, you can go back and listen to that episode, to support your path in working towards eating and nourishing this body with what it was meant to ingest. We know now today so much of the food is products, and the body has a lot of confusion on what to do with those products. And we see a lot of the rampant conditions and diseases and challenges, and we tend to be looking in all these other areas to try to fix it, and forgetting to look at what's right in front of our face and in front of our mouth every day. And that is, let thy medicine be thy food, let thy food be thy medicine. So we want to open it up today to talk about that beginning journey of what does it look like to start eating more whole food and to connect with what your body needs.
Yeah, I'm reminded of a couple of things with your introduction to this topic. And we had a conversation before the episode about how big this topic is.
It's
and
huge.
so we're
It's
going
huge.
to attempt, we're not always great at this, we're going to attempt to stay on track with a high level view of the progression, whole foods, and the progression of what was and where we are today and what to do about it. That's kind of our mission. But just know we're going to barely scratch the surface, and we'll talk about this often in a different way throughout future episodes. But I'm reminded of the Native American way of eating. And many of you don't know, of course, that I have Cherokee heritage. And I was very curious about that early on in my life. And I traced my roots, and I know where I come from. It led me to, coupled with my love of the outdoors, go to survival training, but through the Native American lens. And so I spent a lot of time with Tom Brown, who's famous. He passed away last year. And he talks about his mentor, who was called Grandfather. And Grandfather had this amazing gift of needing something for himself, for food or for medicine, and knowing which plant to go and where to find it. And it wasn't the way we think today, where it's scientific and, well, they grow there and this must be this tall and you cannot pick it when it's this. It was a sense. Yeah. As you described, your body knows, right? And so I love those stories of reading, and I learned some of those skills. I'm not really great at it, but I learned some of those skills of understanding what would solve an eye issue or what might calm a stomach issue, and how to find it intuitively through our years and years of knowledge, ancestral knowledge. It's in all of us.
Right. It's in our wiring.
It is definitely in our wiring, but it is drowned out. And, and I don't want to jump ahead, but it is drowned out a lot by the modern world today and production food and the way that we get trapped with the addiction of the flavors and so on.
In general, the diet industry, right? If we were to all start eating start eating whole foods right now, the diet industry would go to waste because it wouldn't be needed. But I want to come back. I love what you said about, because I've taught that over and over again in classes. Like, our ancestors knew, don't eat this, that's poisonous. They just had a knowing and that intuition to put that together. That hasn't left us, and that can be reconnected to. It's muted because, again, we've been told, and we wait to hear on the outside what we should be doing. And this whole journey, and I'm going to include our other components, the mindfulness, the yoga, the meditation, the present moment work, all that different stuff that we are sharing in our community, will help you hone into that. That's one of those lines of communication that you have that has just gotten a little muddy. And it's pretty amazing. I had a recent appointment with Dr. Henson in town here, a chiropractor. And we had a great conversation, and he has such a broad, a different perspective of coming to chiropractic work. And really, I loved how he stated that we don't need words. So he said, I don't need words that's why we don't really say much when I go into the appointment. He goes to the body, and the body guides him and gives it a yes or no answer. The biggest thing when we finished our conversation was, I said, the biggest part of this is to be able to trust that. And he's like, you got it. Because we don't trust it.
Why? Because we're in our heads and we second guess everything.
Well, and we've told too, right? I've been through college, years of schooling, and right, I could not turn in a paper unless there was enough research, enough peer-reviewed studies, and this and that behind telling me that it was okay to make this statement. But I had to get it from outside myself. Now, if you look at some of that research and data, we're questioning that because now we know some of that data has marketing money behind it that is,
slanted.
And so now, or even our data is like, so where do we go? I've had so many clients over the years just get so frustrated and confused. And that's been one of my missions, is to clear the lens of confusion. Because if you can always return to your body into here and know, what is right for me, you can still learn. There's some good qualities to the different, I'm going to use the word fads coming around. There could be some beneficial things showing up, but you're going to not go in hook, line, and sinker and think, oh, that didn't work for me, or I need to do this. And why did it work for my friend and not? You'll always be able to tune in to what you need. So we want to encourage that today. And it just leads me to think about a time, something I would always often, as I've worked with, when I work with individuals, to start connecting with this type of intuition. When I feel a readiness in them, I will have them start to tap into it by the action of going to the store or the farmer's market and seeing where their eye goes. Because all of a sudden that asparagus will look really good, or those blueberries will call your attention. And that's not just random.
That's how I shop.
Exactly. That's how I shop. But what happens, right, is why do we buy those other items that have these words on them? Health claims, particular colors, and especially for children, right? What do they use? Cartoon characters. It's not real food, but it's drawing you emotionally and psychologically. And so this is where we want to help support. Just like Nadine said, it's like, we make excuses for the different foods that we don't want to give up, but ultimately it's this attachment that we've got because of what it's actually not providing for us. So that's another, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole too far.
Well, I'm going to go down a rabbit hole and I'm going to diverge a little bit, but talk about some realities for some of our listeners who may be feeling or have the same question. And that is that it's very expensive.
Oh,
don't
get me started on
groceries are very expensive. And so there is an economic impact to families who have a very tight budget and buy what they can. McDonald's, super saver meals. And I'll qualify my statement that I don't eat that kind of food. I really never have. I don't care for fast food. I like my pizzas occasionally, but I understand the reason why some families buy the highly produced processed foods from a survivability perspective. And it's disconcerting to me that in this country, the most wealthy country in the world, that families are reduced to be able to have to buy that kind of food and not have access to fresh fruits and vegetables. There's a lot of food deserts in cities in our country that aren't being addressed. And so it's not always just you just have to eat more whole foods. Sometimes it's, I'd love to eat more whole foods. How do I afford it? How do I get it? So that's a rabbit hole that we don't need to solve today, but I just want to tell our audience that we empathize with that.
Yeah. And can I say something? I'm going to say something about it.
Do it.
That's a hot topic for me because, and I want to empathize and understand that I get it. And literally today, at this date and time, yes, groceries have gone up a lot. So I get that. I've been teaching for a couple decades now. I've watched the transition over time. And I've also, some of you know that I contract out and work with some medical communities, and I work with a lot of people. I do that because I'm able to reach out and reach to some individuals that would not otherwise be able to have access to my kind of services of support through nutritional therapy, all that good stuff. So a lot of times this is a more challenged population that doesn't have the funds. So I have a balance here. So I want to understand that, yes, it is challenging. And yes, I know that we're in the Northwest, so we have access more than other states and areas. So I get that. At the same time, it is pretty inexpensive to eat whole foods if that's all you buy. What I have found time and time again is the addiction to these foods, the accessibility and ease. It's convenient to these other foods. That's what these fast foods and different things are doing, is they want it to be easy and quick for you to grab.
And they market on that, yeah.
Exactly. So I really kind of beg to differ that there's a lot of other factors in there when it comes to making these choices.
I said it was a rabbit hole.
It is. And it kind of lights my fire a little bit, because I have worked with people that they have $20 to their name for that entire week to buy their food. And I have come alongside them and guided them on where and what to get. And they have gotten their good quality, as best as they could, protein, their fruits and vegetables, and a source of healthy fat. And they were good to go for a week. And they came into class and shared that with others. What happens is others that want to say at times, like, oh, but I can't afford it and I can't. There's an addiction to a lot of these foods. And I'm going to say something that might also ruffle some feathers. You will afford what you want. We know there are people that are struggling with various addictions, and these some more extreme. There's food addictions, but there's drug addiction and alcohol addiction. There is people out there on the street that are going to find their fix some way, somehow. And we got to realize food is right up there with that.
Yeah.
The fast food and the addictive quality of those foods. That's what gets us to go back again and again. Have you ever said, oh gosh, I'm so sick of, you get tired of broccoli, but you've never said, I'm sick of my bagel and cream cheese every morning that you've had for the last 15 years? Because there's an addictive component to the foods that we have around us. So that's why I get a little antsy about that, because I want to, and that's what I'm here to do. As in my private practice, I can come alongside and help you, because it's not as easy. Like Scott, it's not, like you said, it's not as easy. Just go eat whole foods. It'll all be better. There's the underlying attachment to those foods, the addiction to it, the ease, the convenience.
Generation behavior.
Yeah, the accessibility.
Yeah.
Right? I get it. Sometimes it's not accessible. But in my decades of teaching, I have watched I'm spacing the word right now, like where people go pick up food. Like not CSA, but when they're food pantries and different things like that. I have watched it change to getting better and better sources. And even around town here, when I would have my group of people going through the class, and back in the day, they would repeat the class with me because they loved the community. I had some of these patients that were able to continue the class 8-9 times. And this is 10-week courses. They loved it and just loved that support. And we'd talk about where to go in town. And they start to find the food banks that would have the healthier sources, that wouldn't just have the boxed cereals and those kind of things. So anyways, I don't mean to go. I get excited. I get excited to help people kind of break that myth in their head, because, and like I said, at the same time, I do know, because I'm feeling it, cost of food in our current environment is going up because of other situations in the political atmosphere. So I get that.
I think it's
so.
My comment about pricing, again, it's a rabbit hole.
It is.
But as I work with you, and you've been really helpful for me, try to eat even better than I already eat. I already eat fairly well, but I could always do better. And then products, I'm looking at different products that are healthier. I was looking at healthy deodorant the other day for $15. What am I doing? And so I bought it. So I'm making progress, but you do question $4.99, right? I could put my roll-on on.
And that's why this is a journey. This is why I
was just going to say that you've always said it's a journey, and you take baby steps, and transformation happens as you go, breaking patterns, breaking routines. I'm sharing my own story because I want our viewers and listeners to know that we're also on the journey.
Oh yeah. It's taken me years and I'm still on it. And I love that you brought up deodorant, because I remember one of my dear clients, again, this was one of the clinic clients I was working with, realized there's two of them that come to mind right now, and I still have contact with both of them. They got all inspired and are making their own. Mm-hmm. They make their own detergent, their own deodorant, their own toothpaste, their own soap out of real ingredients. Mm-hmm. So that might be overwhelming to some, and I get it. That's I would add to our talk about the cost is it's going to feel like it's going to cost more as you're in the transition, because you're still buying these other products as you're trying to get these newer products, or I don't want to say products, new foods, more putting, a little bit different meals together, whatever it may be. And so the confusion is like, gosh, Melissa, now my budget's like this. Now I'm like double my grocery. Well, you're in transition of reducing what you're buying over here, because now I'm taking that money and applying it here. So there is that little bit of transition time, just like with the deodorant. There are other ones, and there's healthy ones out there. It takes a little bit more time and kind of starting to find those, and not just going to your main store and getting your Tide detergent and your different, it's starting to be like, okay. And so it is a journey, and you and I both been on it, and I've been on it for years, and it's been a slow transition of just loving myself along the way for that, because it's not like you're going to do it overnight. But just like Nadine talked about, of like, she's particular, her and family members are celiac, to where they need to have no exposure to gluten. So they have something that's lighting the fire under their butt to make these actions happen. And think about some of us out there that we might have some of those conditions or other sensitivities that we start to uncover because of these healthy actions, because we don't realize. And we also don't want to inconvenience people by trying to request this or eat certain foods. But if you were celiac, or if you had an allergic reaction or something go on, you would be much more adamant about like making sure you weren't consuming that or doing that. So we want to bring that kind of focus to say, this is worth your time. This is worth your investment, to start to look at, what do I eat, and to be amongst a group that supports eating more real food for your body to function better.
The body will thank you.
Yeah. So I don't know. We got really spicy there for a moment. But
Yes,
I know. That's what
this is how our conversations go too, by the way, sometimes. I think that for me, in my background, I come from a restaurant background as a cook, worked in kitchens for my first career, and I have a super big love affair with food. Did you know that? Yeah. So I love to grow food. I have a small garden, and it's fall right now. So we're in the pepper season, harvesting peppers and tomatoes. And so for me, I've eaten pretty healthy because I love food, and I love real ingredients, simple ingredients. But man, I also love myself a beer and a bowl of chips. I love kettle chips. And by the way, Kettle's come up with the avocado oil, which are really good. I was surprised how good they were, but I still like to go to my salt and pepper chips once in a while. And so I think, because it's a journey, there may become a time where I'm not eating that anymore, but I give myself grace, right? If I get a pizza every couple of months, I give myself grace. And I think that you have to do that in this transition, because there is sometimes I'm like, I really want that, and I don't do it, right? I really want a bag of chips, but no, I just had a bowl of chips a couple of weeks ago. I'm not going to do it now. So I think you have to, what I'm saying is, it's changing my behavior, because I just grabbed it. I'll just grab it. Yeah, it's fine.
And not think about it.
I wouldn't have thought about it.
Right.
Yeah, it's in this podcast, and Vital Edge Wellness Coaching is all about raising awareness.
Right.
And so at the very core, that is the change that we're hoping you can begin to implement out of this podcast and all of our other ones. Just, am I aware a little bit more than I was before?
Right. And with that said, I want to use that as an example for some of you out there. And then there's going to be some of you, just like you listened with Nadine, that have some other advancing conditions that need to make some of these changes a little bit more immediate.
Urgently.
And I want you to know, you always can reach out to me.
She's not passionate about this at all, though.
As a nutritional therapist, and I'm not, please know, there's no judgment here. It's not shaming. It's not saying you can't have this and should have this. I'm not going to come in and bulldoze and take away these foods. I don't want that to be a fear out there. What you're going to do is start to build this relationship with your body. And if you know you're having some of the conditions Nadine talked about, or autoimmune conditions, don't hesitate. If you need some support, reach out. Myself and Nadine, as a pair, we've worked together many times because she does, as a gluten-free RN, she has some ability to get some testing and things done that isn't kind of out there in the mainstream. So I just want to encourage you that, yes, I'm very much on the path of what Scott's sharing right there. It is a journey, and having that grace, yes, because we are exposed to those foods and they do taste good. There are some that just, nostalgia or you have a connection with.
Absolutely.
At the same time, I want to go back to his Native American story at the very beginning. Did kettle chips exist back then? No. The kind of foods that we get attached to and say, but I want to have that occasionally. And can I have my chocolate cake or this or that? That was not actually real, complete whole food. And realize that we've been exposed to that over time. And so, yes, compassion. And I want to add to that is when I know how he works a bit with that when he decides to have those salt and pepper chips, he is eating those and enjoying those without shaming himself and having a bunch of guilt. Now, that's another journey, because a lot of us will be like, I want that. And you just eat it, but then the whole time you're degrading yourself because of it.
Well, I will say that my portions have gotten very small. Well, they've gotten smaller when I eat them too. I can sit down and eat half a bag of chips very easily. Now I put it in a bowl and I portion out and go, this is all I need with my non-alcoholic beer. Right.
There you go.
But now after Nadine, I'm going to have to try some gluten-free beer.
Yes.
So,
but I want to add that's your mindfulness. That's you becoming more aware of what does my body need in this moment. And that's why I said it's so it's multifaceted and multi-layered.
Yes.
Because it isn't just go eat whole foods and be done with it, because many of us have deer in the headlight looks like, how do I do that? It isn't so much the how, it's those addictions to the foods that we don't want to give up are getting threatened a little bit. So we're like, yeah, I don't want to do that. It's not convenient.
I think there's another component too that I'm going to suggest for people, and this is my passion for food, so maybe this isn't for everybody, but eat the seasons.
Oh, well, that's huge. That's going to be we have to do a topic on that, just on that.
Especially where we live in the great Pacific Northwest, we have farmers markets and farms, and I love to go to our local Saturday market midway through spring when all the vegetables are hitting and just walk and look. And as you said earlier, what you're drawn to, purchase a little bit, play with it, go home and cook it, eat the berries, eat the asparagus, eat the mushroom. Oh, it's almost mushroom season, right? So eat the seasons is a great way to kind of kickstart whole food love. And you'll also be following that spiritual Native American way of eating with what the earth has to offer us.
Yeah. And I share that. I love that, yes, eating on the seasons and helping expose yourself to the first step is just, what am I eating? What do we go buy at the grocery store? Because most likely you buy the same thing every darn week or every month. And so first become aware. And then what does it look like to eat on the seasons? Like Scott says, the Saturday markets, he said CSA a moment ago. I belong to a CSA, which is consumer supported agriculture, where the farm is every week or every other week, I pick up a batch of whatever's coming out of the farm.
And you never know.
And I never know. So it's nice.
What do I do with this kohlrabi?
And I want to come, exactly. And honestly, I want to share personally, I share this very openly that I do have a passion for nutrition and eating whole foods. I have studied deeply in nutritional therapy and can support you that way. Do I have cooking skills?
She's getting better. She's getting better.
Do I grow a garden?
Not so much.
So please understand that that's part of my journey. And I want to go back to so if you're again struggling with the cost transition, I get that. I want to go back to some of my clinic clients because I'm visualizing another one just last week shared with the whole group about how little to no money is happening for them, but they've got pots on their back porch and they're growing food. And some of us don't even think about that because we've not been exposed to it. And now, granted, I don't have a garden yet. I'm getting there. But we have resources around, and all the farmers market and even the CSA, they take the vouchers, not vouchers, but SNAP. So do know there's accessibility. And I want to just encourage all of us not to immediately say, I just can't do it. Please reach out. First of all, I'd love to support you in this because it can very much turn your life around.
And as a coach, you're really good at helping people reframe how to get something accomplished,
right,
instead of immediately saying, I can't because. So that is a really important part of your intake process. And I encourage you to reach out if this resonates with you and you're like, I've been thinking about it, or, reach out through our podcast, through our website, and ask to talk to Melissa about more of that. She's been a great help for me, and I'm helping her learn how to cook the things that she's having me buy now.
Well,
so it's been another journey. Yeah. So we said this was a huge topic. We'll have follow-ups to this. We hope this was helpful for you today.
Yeah.
So what are some of your closing thoughts here?
Well, I would love for you guys to ask questions. We know our community is growing, and we are hearing people really enjoying the podcasts and our way of chatting about life and things. So please ask questions if there's specific things you want to have topics on.
If you're thinking it, others are thinking it.
Right. And especially nutritionally, there's so many things we could talk about, and we will continue. But what our summing up today is start to become aware of what you're eating and realize that that is one of the first places to look when you don't feel well or when you think something's off or you have various conditions in the body, mentally, physically, or emotionally. And we can start to take one step at a time to come more and more to what our body's innate needs are through what we put in our mouth and how we digest. That's another topic. But yeah, so one step at a time.
One step at a time. Okay. Thank you for spending the last 35 minutes with us. We'll see you in our next episode, and take care of each other. And don't forget to take care of yourself. We'll see you next time on Rise and Thrive.
Namaste.
Thanks for tuning in to Rise and Thrive, a podcast by Vital Age Wellness Coaching. If you found this episode meaningful, please rate, review, and share it with someone who might need it. For upcoming retreats and to join the Vital Edge Wellness community, head to vitaledgewellnesscoaching.com. Let's rise and thrive together.